Donald Trump is melting down after a devastating new poll dropped just days before Election Day, showing Republicans could be headed for a total disaster. The numbers are so bad that Trump has reportedly gone into panic mode, scrambling to find someone to blame and launching a new wave of scare tactics to try to rig the outcome. Despite these elections being smaller than the midterms, Trump is treating them like a full-blown emergency, desperate to stop another humiliation. So stick around to see the desperate moves that Trump is making to save himself from the fallout, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. So Election Day has finally come, and this will be the first big test of Trump's second term. And before we even get into the specific race polls that have Trump freaking out, just the overall polling screams bad news for Donald Trump.
I mean, the common denominator here is Donald Trump, and Democrats are on the precipice of delivering a huge blow to Donald Trump in his second term. What are we talking about here? Well, why don't we just look? Democrats lead all the key races. You go to New Jersey governor. That's really the only close one. Mikey Sherrill, the Democrat, up by 6 points. Abigail Spanberger in Virginia, up by 10. Zohran Mamdani, up by 16 points in New York City. The bottom line is this. Yes, there are ideological differences between the Democrats, but the key common component is they are all going after Donald Trump. And all the Democrats lead from New Jersey to Virginia to New York City. They all lead the Republican and independent opponents.
How much is he impacting the cases? Never mind that they want to beat him in their minds. It's sort of like, hey, this is to show you that we can beat you. But how much is he affecting these?
I mean, look, Donald Trump is a huge drag in all of these races. Look at his net popularity ratings. In New Jersey, he's 11 points underwater. Virginia, 14 points underwater. Not much of a big surprise in New York. He's 35 points underwater. And I will note nationally in my aggregate polls, he's about 13 points underwater. In our CNN poll, he's way below that, which looks a lot like New Jersey, a lot like Virginia. So these races, in my mind, could be huge bellwethers going into next year to understanding how Donald Trump is impacting these races. He is a huge drag in across the board, New Jersey, Virginia, and New York City.
Donald Trump has sunken so low in the polls that in a place like New Jersey, which was supposed to be a very tight race, Trump is now polling worse than the Republican candidate. Donald Trump is actually polling worse than many Republicans all across the country. Instead of leading his party, he could be actively hurting it instead. In the New Jersey race, for example, just weeks before the election, Donald Trump cut funding to a multi-billion-dollar subway project connecting Newark, New Jersey, to New York City, called Project Gateway, and then he bragged about it as a part of the government shutdown.
So what we're doing, I mean, they call him Darth Vader, but he's actually a very nice person, Russell Vogt. But Russell Vogt is really terminating tremendous numbers of Democrat projects. There's not only jobs, I mean, the project in Manhattan, the project in New York, it's billions and billions of dollars that Schumer has worked 20 years to get. It's terminated. Tell him it's terminated, Jennifer.
Trump is actually bragging about gutting jobs and funding to the states of New Jersey and New York. And by all means, if Trump wants to help Democrats get elected, then I say go for it. In fact, he may have just secured one of the biggest wins for the left in decades. After polling at less than 5% at the start of the primaries, Zohran Mamdani has skyrocketed to an almost guaranteed win in this week's New York City mayoral election. Looking at PBS News, they list dozens of different polls where Mamdani almost has a clean sweep of beating both Curtis Sliwa and Andrew Cuomo. And once again, Trump has completely shot himself in the foot here. Even though he didn't endorse him, when asked about the election, Trump said that it might be best if the Republican candidate just dropped out so that way the disgraced Democrat Andrew Cuomo could beat Mamdani.
If he dropped out, he's not going to win. And not looking too good for Cuomo either. But maybe, I don't know, if he dropped out, maybe Cuomo would have a little bit of a chance, but not much, because it looks like the lead is, it's not a great lead, but it's big enough that he should be able to win. So, you know, I don't know that I want to get involved. It's really a question of, would I rather have a Democrat or a communist? And I would rather have a Democrat than a communist.
Will you leave Mamdani?
But joking about wanting Cuomo to win isn't what really helped Zohran take the lead. It was Trump and Zohran attacking each other during the campaign trail that not only showed how insane Trump is, but also how badly the left needs more charismatic people like Mamdani.
and I just want to speak directly to the president, which is that I will not be a mayor like Mayor Adams who will call you to figure out how to stay out of jail. I won't be a disgraced governor like Andrew Cuomo who will call you to ask how to win this election. I can do those things on my own. I will, however, be a mayor who's ready to speak at any time to lower the cost of living. That's the way that I'm going to lead this city. That's the partnership I want to build, not only with Washington, D.C., but anyone across this country. I think it's important because too often the focus on the needs of working class Americans, working class New Yorkers are put to the side.
And in response to slight jabs like that, Trump continuously freaked out and threatened to straight up arrest and maybe even deport Mamdani.
Mr. President, your beloved New York City may well be led by a communist soon, Zoran Mamdani, who in his nomination speech said he will defy ICE and will not allow ICE to arrest criminal aliens in New York City. Your message to communist Zoran Mamdani?
Well, then we'll have to arrest him. Look, we don't need a communist in this country, but if we have one, I'm going to be watching over him very carefully on behalf of the nation. We send him money. We send him all the things that he needs to run a government. And by the way, they get about 3 times what you get, Ron. If you look at the per capita, Florida gets 1/3 of what New York gets in terms of the numbers. Why don't you give us those numbers?
Yeah, well,
because that's what we should send him.
Yeah, well, like sometimes people say Florida gets more because they count Social Security recipients, but that's not money to the state. Those are seniors that live here. If they moved to North Carolina, you could count it there. So it has no interaction with the state government. They get more in the city and state governments than we get.
Right, substantially. We're going to be watching that very carefully, and a lot of people are saying he's here illegally. We're going to look at everything, and ideally. He's going to turn out to be much less than a communist. But right now, he's a communist. That's not a socialist. I've always said, we will not have socialism in this country. In the speeches, I said, well, what? They skipped socialism. And you get a lot of them like that.
Donald Trump is openly talking about arresting Democratic politicians just because they don't support his policies, or even revoking their citizenships if they weren't born in the United States. This is straight up election interference, trying to scare voters into abandoning one of our few good candidates. But Trump isn't just hinting at election interference anymore either. You see, Republicans are currently losing in the polls in California, New Jersey, New York City, and Virginia, not to mention just all of the national polls. And because of this, right before Election Day, Donald Trump announced that he has a plan to supposedly protect election security. You see, there's one more important race that Trump really wants to win, the California vote on redistricting to get rid of congressional Republican seats. If California votes to change its maps like Texas and Ohio did, it could spur the other blue states in the country to do so as well. And bad news for Donald Trump, this redistricting plan is looking more and more popular every single day. I mean, this is the crowd that Kamala Harris got to speak to while promoting this redistricting plan this week.
Are we gonna do this? We gonna win? Do we know how to fight? Do we stand for our democracy? Do we stand for what is right? Do we believe in the power of the people? All right then. It is about reminding folks that we refuse to kneel at the foot of a tyrant. That's not what we do. We stand for the principles upon which our nation was founded. We believe in the Constitution of the United States. We believe in the power of the vote. And we are prepared, when necessary, to fight fire with fire. California is taking a stand to say we understand the difference between right and wrong, and we will step up when necessary to make sure the voices of the people are heard. Let's get this done. I dropped my ballot already. Let's get this done, and we will win on Tuesday.
People across California are promising to bring the fight to Republicans in Congress, and Donald Trump just cannot have that. If Democrats fight against him rigging congressional maps, he will put pressure to just rig elections, and we just got our first taste of that this week. In what could be a sign of major election pressure during next year's midterms, Donald Trump is now testing out a plan to deploy federal officers to monitor election locations in California because I guess blue states can't be trusted to hold elections.
The U.S. Justice Department said it would be sending election monitors to California. And now Governor Gavin Newsom says he's sending monitors as well to watch the feds.
It's a preview of things to come, part of the rigging, part of the voter suppression. It's exactly why the National Guard were federalized through Election Day.
Newsom today questioning the reasons behind the federal monitors. The DOJ said the monitors will be going to 6 counties across the U.S. 5 of them are in California, including Los Angeles and Orange counties.
To intimidate, to create a false pretext, to go to federal court and say somehow this election was stolen, that it was conducted illegally.
The city of L.A. says most of its residents vote by mail. Mayor Karen Bass writing that the federal move is more about intimidation. For those few Angelenos who do vote in person, they need not fear anything, and they should not have to be in fear of their government. Washington, D.C., we got this.
Donald Trump's agents might just be watching today, but if he's allowed to start taking control of voting locations during elections, what's to stop him from rigging any vote in this country? In the 2020 election, Trump sent people to break into polling locations, and luckily it failed. But now he has taken over the Justice Department, and he has the full strength of the federal government to start testing the limits of our democracy. Election day this week is a chance to show just how united this country is against Donald Trump, and the fact that he's trying to line voting booths with government agents just shows how scared he is to watch this country turn against him. So be sure to leave your election predictions down in the comments below, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more.